Well, May, of course, is Mental Health Awareness Month, and now more than ever, it is so important to take time for our mental health. It is part of our physical health. Here with some tips now, Shelly Parham, CEO of Boys and Girls Club of Elizabethton and Carter County. And Shelly, always good to have you back on the show.
Always good to be here, Amy. Thank you.
I always pick the important topics, like the timely topics. And of course, now I think too, as school's getting out, mental health so important for kids and adults.
Well, and mental health isn't, everyone has that from childhood to adulthood, and not everyone suffers from it, but we all have mental health ups and downs, right? We all have ups and downs. And so I really wanted to focus on our mental well-being and our mental wellness, which encompasses our physical, our biological, our emotional, as well as our environmental. So you really want to look at your whole well-being and not just, sometimes I think when we hear mental health, we go right to crisis, and it's not always about that.
Okay, and yeah, you were telling me there's a difference between mental health, mental wellness, and mental well-being, and they all play a role.
They do, and mental health is really the whole encompassing part. Your mental wellness is your physical, it's the how. It's how we respond to our emotions, it's how we respond to situations, and then the mental well-being is really what we do with all of that, how we create positive feelings, positive situations, and how we encompass those into our daily life. And so that we create a more positive mental health, mental, social, emotional well-being.
And of course, you work with children every day. So it's so important that you have sort of that view when it comes to mental health and helping this generation really come up and age into it in the right way. I feel like we in our generation, nobody talked about it. But now we have fresh children who we can teach a whole different way.
And coping skills are huge, teaching them how to cope. And then some of these other, like I'm going to talk, you're going to hear like these tips I have that we've heard 1,000 times, but I want to dive in a little deeper and really how they affect our physical and our biological well-being when we don't pay attention to those simple tips that help our mental health.
Okay, so we're going to give everybody some of the tips, and then you can go ahead and sort of dive into these. And of course, one, like you said, we've heard it a million times, that healthy, balanced diet.
And we have, but when we eat refined sugar and processed foods, and I know it's Cupcake Day, so I'm going to indulge myself as well, but what it does is it releases a negative insulin, and that negative insulin then creates a more imbalance in our moods and in our anxiety. It exasperates it, in fact, the sugar and the insulin that it creates. So it can exasperate anxiety and depression. And so if we can stay away from those foods, and the other piece is foods that are, the healthy foods we know we should eat, they eliminate chronic pain, they can, and inflammation. And we all know when we're in chronic pain or we're thinking about, depression or whatever our mood is, that we feel better when we eat right. So it's kind of this constant cycle. The next one is to get enough sleep. I've heard that 1,000 times, but I'm talking about the deep REM sleep. Research shows that when we get into that deep REM sleep, that we are actually creating a healthier biological response. When we don't, what happens is our brain kind of shuts down. It blocks the positive serotonin and dopamine and all of that. It blocks it. It says, I don't have enough energy to process that, so I'm not going to.
Okay, and Shelly, we have other tips that we want to mention. We have exercise. Take the time to laugh. We're going to talk more about that coming up a little later. And stay connected. Certainly some important information. Also, don't forget the positive friends of our furry friends, and take it one day at a time. Good stuff. Thank you so much
for joining us. Thanks for having me, Amy.
Yeah. Hey, also, we do want to make sure and give out, this is a suicide and crisis lifeline. If you need help, if you know someone that needs immediate help, call 988, and there's also a website, 988lifeline.org. It is a 24-hour-a-day, 7 days a week service.